Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is Chatting in Cars. It's a podcast where I talk about random topics pulled out of a bag, some of which are sensitive, hence the disclaimer at the start of this podcast. I also swear a lot, so if you're not feeling up to it today, absolutely you don't have to listen to me. Not that many people do anyway. The topic for today is following people. Now I don't mean in essence, what we do on Facebook where we're following likes and dislikes and things like that. I'm talking about people actively not sticking up for themselves and being, herd followers. I've known quite a few of them. It's the easy way out, I think, to just go with it. It doesn't do you any good, though, because you can't stand up for yourself, inevitably in the long run. And you'll sort of latch your flag onto anything that's fucking going at this point, especially if it seems good at the time. I mean, look at what happened with Hitler. Anyway, so I have a real problem with followers, bandwagon jumpers. It bugs me that, people lack confidence. I know they lack confidence, and it can be for many reasons. Low self-esteem, all kinds of things, just cultural reasons, really. I mean, think about it. Some cultures actually encourage sort of collectivism. I personally don't, but that's because I come from a very biased, westernized background. Whereas if you came from, say, China, they'd be all for joining in sort of thing and following the leader, which is strangely ironic because is it ironic or hypocritical? Because they're meant to be communist, which means egalitarian sort of thing, but they have this panel of people that tells them what to do, which is semi-fascist, really. I find that interesting. Anyway, but their practices as well are fascist, so we won't go into that today. It's just I get flabbergasted and a bit annoyed when people say they are one thing and then don't follow the fucking rules. So I'm like, why do we even have these rules if nobody's following them? Alright, so I suppose I used to be a follower. I was codependent in my marriage. When I was married, I had intensely low self-esteem, so of course it was more of a confidence vote to follow my ex-husband around and do whatever he wanted to do. Leaving him was a bit of a baptism of fire, and so now I have issues with people that are followers. Not that it's a bad thing necessarily, as long as the person is doing the right by you and and looking after you, not just exploiting you like my ex did. It can be okay to be a follower. Some people just lack confidence, so it's easier than taking the stress of taking a leadership position. As a teacher, I take the leadership position as a default. I have to, otherwise I've got 30 kids running riot in the back of the room, or the front of the room, or all over the fucking room, to be honest. So you have to be able to take point and take control. I've found as I get older that people find that intimidating to some degree, that someone can just walk in and take the room, particularly guys. I don't know what that is. It's some kind of masculine thing, maybe, I don't know. If you're talking about non-gender, I don't know, something to do with testosterone. But I found that a lot of guys find it a bit intimidating that I'll just get in, get done, get out. So it's like, I don't know if they want me to kowtow and be submissive or something like that. My ex-boyfriend wanted me to be submissive, and I am within a particular confinement. I will let someone take the lead. I have no problem with that, providing they can back that shit up. If I have to step in, then all hell goes loose. It's like, I don't like having to step in. I have enough shit to do in a day. If someone wants to take the reins, that's cool. If I have to step in after my day of work and take over, it pisses me off, actually, to be honest, and I'm not going to be happy about it, because this shit should have been handled. I don't know if it's considered sort of delegating or something like that, but these days I have trouble with people who are followers, who are, it ties in with sycophancy as well. I hate sycophancy. If you've done that, listen to that podcast I did the other day, where people are just sort of sucking up to get ahead and you wonder what the underlying motive is. I have trouble with that. So I'm wondering if these followers are sycophants to a degree where they just want to get something out of you as well. So I'm a bit skeptical about that. I've got a very jaded view of people who can't stick up for themselves. But when I was married, I was just naive. I think I was just naive. I was definitely codependent because I wanted shit to go smoothly, so I didn't have the disruption of arguments and things like that. And what little self-esteem I had, I could sort of hold on to. Yeah, he was not a good guy. I would not recommend being married to an overt narc. But then again, who actually goes out of the way to find one of those, right? So, what about like Facebook? At the moment, I have got 6 people following me on my Facebook. I have no idea how to tell who the fuck they are. So, I've got a public Facebook because I don't hide anything. I have no interest in obscuring who I am. Not that I put anything risque on my Facebook. It's usually like cat videos and shit. This morning I put on a video about how male spiders will fuck up a female's web to sort of deter other male spiders from chasing her. And I thought that was fascinating. I'm going, oh, it's just a fuckboy spider move. Why would you do that? So I put that up there. I don't know who's even going to bother looking for it, but apparently I've got 6 subscribers. I'm going, okay. How many of these are actually my friends, though? Because I've got about 11 friends. So I'm not going to add a shitload of people just for the sake of saying I have a shitload of people. I've been to the other Facebook people's pages and they've got like thousands of fucking friends. I'm going, yeah, but how many of these are actual real friends or just people you just added for the sake of making yourself look like you've got friends? So I've got 11 people that I know I interact with. I keep my circle small and it's real. My circle is real. I don't chase people for the sake of approval and shit like that. These are my friends. These are my soul tribe, if you will. So I've lost that follower mentality, I think. I don't know. I mean, the latest thing I've done that could be construed as being a follower would be signing up to YouTube to do this channel. Other than that, I don't know. Maybe I follow in the workplace. I suppose I would have to because I defer to my deputy, which is my principal's assistant, essentially. And they tell me where to go in a day. But that's about it. It's like that's about as followery as I get. Once you're in the room, that's your room. You take it and you lead it and you carry on. You get the shit done. As long as you get the shit done, there's no problem. If you don't get the shit done, then you better make up for it somehow. My ex-boyfriend was a hell of a follower. He still is a hell of a follower. He will do anything that he can to fit into a group that he deems that he can get something out of. And that means dressing like them, talking like them, acting like them. Which I find weird because he's 40 and he's still trying to dress like a 20-year-old. I find that really weird. But he never goes to the full extent. Like the social group I used to hang around with him, they're all covered in like tattoos and stuff like that. So I'm wondering when he's going to sort of, harden the fuck up and get a tattoo or something like that. I doubt he will. Because, I mean, he used to be a goth, he used to be a cyber goth, he used to be... I've looked in his cupboard. At some point he was an alternative. Right now he's just trying to be a hipster. And I'm going, dude, you have no fucking identity of your own, do you? None of this is you. This is all borrowed off of other people. So you can sort of fit in. He's like a chameleon, but none of it's real. He'll do sort of just enough to make it look like he's part of the group, but not really join in. And that pretty much reflects everything he does with life. So, and I've known him for quite a few years now, 16, 17 years now. Dated him 2.5 of them, so lived with him for 6 months of it. So I've been observing, I've had a chance to observe these kinds of people. I'm not impressed, to be honest, because you never really, what is it, like that Dido song, White Flag? Is it White Flag? No, Life for Rent. It's like he never actually bought into the life. He just wanted to give it the appearance of doing it. So, she says something about if you don't actually buy the house, you're never going to own the fucking house, sort of thing. Go and listen to the lyrics. She's probably explained it better than I ever could. She wrote the song. So authenticity really counts with me. And when you're, changing yourself, losing yourself just to adapt and to fit in with other people's desires and wants, I get annoyed. Because I've lost myself before. I mean, when I was married, I completely lost myself. My ex-husband customized me completely. From what haircut I had to what clothes I could wear, whether I could wear makeup or not. Jewelry. He didn't like me doing anything, saying anything, going anywhere. It was always conditions and control. So there are dangers to becoming a follower or being a follower. If you can't think for yourself, you can't really stand up for yourself. Which I find horrible. It's tragic, really, because then you get led into these horrible scenarios where you can't get out of. I got trapped for 16 years. partly because I was already customized, but also because he crushed my self-esteem further than my parents ever did. And I didn't feel I was worthy enough or valuable enough to leave and make something of myself. So I stuck with this asshole who abused me, essentially, for 16 years. And we get trapped in these arrangements where we stay with these absolute complete assholes because we think we're doing the right thing, or because we're stuck in these positions and we can't get out of them. A lot of people are stuck because of financial reasons. I feel sorry for women who are stuck with kids, with men who don't love them, don't treat them right, because they didn't manage to get the money together or get a job or an education where they can survive, outside the marriage. That's the real tragedy of the situation, because I've met thousands of really good women who are single mothers who are having to stay with these absolute fucking pricks because they just cannot financially get out from under it. So that's a horrible reality becoming a follower, because these men at the start, and I'm not saying it's all men, because I know this is just a finite amount. This is just a small reflection of particularly the context in which I existed at this point, which was a low SES area. There are other types of areas, of course. Men are like all over the place. There's no one particular uniform for a man, or what is deemed to be a male. So I'm grateful for that, really. But these women, they essentially get lied to, manipulated, and they get stuck, which is horrible. But they want to believe the dream is still real, the fairy tale, so they stay. Or they get sucked in financially with a house and all that shit, where they have to stay. When I divorced, I got sucked into a mortgage, and the market was shit at the time. We couldn't sell it because we would have been in debt just to sell it at the point. So there are dangers to following people around and not thinking for yourself. I had incredible low self-esteem as well. So when I finally left, that was the first thing I needed to work on, was myself. And when you're showing yourself self-love, you're kind of developing a kind of armor. Oh, you already have the survival armor maybe, but this time, you're putting embellishments on it. You're thickening it, or you're adding to it, or you're adding extra parts to it. Something will make it more versatile to whatever comes, in the future. Sorry, my stutter's kicking in. And the almonds, which is going to bug the shit out of me. I have not had enough coffee today. This is the problem. Why do people follow things? I mean, socially, if you talk about it from a social standpoint, people follow it because they have to exist within a particular society. There is a need to act within a particular society, within cultural norms and values. Maybe they want to join in to see that they act and belong to this particular entity. Within Australia, there's this big culture of being outdoorsy, athletic, AFL-loving, beer-swilling, that kind of there's a real macho kind of shit out here, and it gives me the shit, to be honest. Because to me, I'm looking at these traits, I'm going, that's just toxic male. I don't know if I agree with these ones. But I was sort of, have been so-called educated, so, so I question things that don't feel right or seem a bit antiquated at times. There is a need for some kind of machoism, I have to admit, because, it's not entirely bad. But when it's taken to the extreme that it's detrimental to other people around them and themselves, we've got to start worrying about why they're being that way. Like if you're following the toxic masculinity mindset because that's all you've ever known, or you think it'll get you somewhere, or you think it's appropriate. Whereas there's also some really horrible side effects to the toxic masculinity. Where, one of my ex-boyfriend's fabulous traits is not understanding how no means no. He just thought that was part of the game, the seduction game. It's like, no, it's not part of the seduction game. No means no, and if you go any further, that's rape. So he didn't understand that. I mean, I found that really weird, actually, because he was so-called educated, but he was still living in that mindset of the toxic masculine. So, he went through uni and all that kind of thing. He should understand why girls say no and it means no. I would have thought that, but yeah. But he's a bit of a follower of the masculinity, sort of neckbeard culture, really. I was looking at him. When I first met him, I went, oh, that's a neckbeard. But as it's progressed, I'm leaning towards maybe sort of incel sort of aspects as well. He gets angry when he doesn't get his own way sort of thing when it comes to particularly sexual things. He takes it as an insult when things like sex are denied him. So I don't know if he's got some kind of weird sense of entitlement. I mean, I was his girlfriend at the time, so I wasn't the type, and I'm not the type to say no, really, unless something has really seriously gone wrong. And at the time, I wasn't really confident in the fact that he kept telling me he was monogamous, and I kept finding, evidence is just otherwise. Physical evidence, and he'd just sort of brush it off and say I was being paranoid or catastrophizing and things like that. And I'm sitting going, but this is physical fucking evidence of you being an arsehole. But I kept giving them benefit of the doubt because I'm like, I want to make this work and this could work, and and in a sense maybe I became a follower of something that was completely fucking toxic at the time. So there are dangers to it. You get sucked into yet another arrangement where you question your self-worth. I know a few people that have got stuck into doing the right thing, what is perceived to be the right thing. I know a few people I know some guys that have conceived children. I'm not sure if it's their child, but they've been told that they've conceived children, and they've stayed to do the right thing, which is honourable. I mean, you're trying to do the right thing, really. It's honourable. If you have conceived a child, you don't bail on the woman, whether you love her or not. You stay. Really, that's the right thing. You stay to co-parent. You don't stay to have to stay and pretend to love this woman, but you stay for the kid. Or you stay in the vicinity of. You don't have to live with them, and you're still like a satellite. But I'm not convinced that's his kid. But given the type of lifestyle he was living at the time and the type of girl she seems to be. So, but that's not my story, that's his story, and he has to figure that out for himself. So I love that he's honourable about that kind of stuff. Given the right circumstances, that would be the right thing to do, but given questionable circumstances like this, I'm like, dude, take a paternity test. At least if you're throwing that much money at something, make sure it's yours. And it might sound a bit heartless, and I want to protect the kids and everything, but at the same time I'm going, I know the context and I know the people. I'm going, you need to get a paternity test. I don't trust this one. I don't. I know what you were up to. Jesus. But he's he's being a bit of a follower that he wants to do the right thing. He's like, the kid needs a father figure. I'm going to be that father figure. It's like, I don't know if it's even yours. It might be his, to be honest. I don't know. I haven't seen the kid yet. But I'm like, this feels questionable to me, and my spidey senses are tingling, man. So I'm going, get that shit checked out. And me being a woman who has had experience with single mothers and things like that, for me to turn around and say, you should probably get that checked out, it's quite a big thing, because I'm used to guys just bouncing. So I'm against, males abandoning their children. Where I came from, where I was raised, it's a common practice for a girl to get a guy pregnant and think he'll stay. No, not get a guy pregnant. Let me rephrase that. To get pregnant by a guy, to make him stay. Or at least get, like the Centrelink money. Or child payment, or whatever it is. But what they fail to recognize is that the guys are not mature either. They don't want to stay. They're just going to get you knocked up and fuck off. So it's a dual lack of maturity there to understand what could potentially happen. So they're both screwing each other over, really. Inevitably, Centrelink pays for the raising of the child. So, anyway, which perpetuates the same cycle, because, it's these kinds of people raising these kinds of people to do exactly what they did. Which I really hate, but, But we try and reparent the child in the classroom to not do stupid things like that, but, we can't guarantee they'll turn out, using common sense. So, when he turned around, or when I heard of, because I'm not very gossipy. I listen, I watch, but I don't really gossip. I don't like gossip. But I overhear a shitload. If you keep yourself sober and keep your eyes open and your ears to the ground, when you're in these so-called social environments, you learn a lot more. So he's got a kid. He's not with the mum. She moved out. I think she most likely took the kid with her. But he's trying to do the right thing by hanging around, to pay for the kid, which is why he's always broke, I would assume. I mean, he doesn't have much of a job, as far as I can see. I don't even know what education he's got. But, he's trying to do the right thing, or perceived to be the right thing. Bit of a follower, in that sense, trying to take the moral high ground. But realistically, you got to look at it like, is this even yours? You're paying for something that might not be yours, and all for the sake of not wanting to lose face. It's like that, what is that? Gold Digger song. It's 18 years. She's got one of your kids, she's got you for 18 years. That's true. That's how some people will trap you. That's a horrible way to look at it, but it's true. I would always err on the side of caution and get an insurance policy like a paternity test. You can't really do maternity tests in those circumstances. We kind of know where it came from in most of those circumstances. Unless you're really good at stealing babies, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know who's following me on Facebook. Why would you follow me? That's weird. Then again, it's probably just my friends. I find that weird. Why would you want to follow me? Anyway, TikTok followers. These people who deify the everyday individual who jiggles their bits for updates. Well, I don't know why they follow them either. To be honest, I feel like TikTok might just be grounds for some kind of weird pedophilia. Because I've seen a lot of the so-called videos and it's just a bunch of underage girls jiggling about. I'm going, this doesn't feel right. At least Vines was funny. I'm just seeing jiggles and I'm like, I don't want to see this. I've got this. Why would I want to see it? It's an overrated experience. But yeah, there seems to be a huge culture of wanting to get people to follow you and like you, and I think it breeds into the sort of narcissism side of things. I don't agree with a lack of modesty as well, where they will do just about anything on camera to get approval. And I mean just about fucking anything. It's terrifying at times. And as a teacher, we sit there and we watch our kids who are, I'm just making a TikTok, I'm just making a Vine. And you sit there and you go, oh my God, please, cyber safety, come on. Come on. They've seen your face. You've got your school name badge on your shirt. They can find you. What are you doing? Check the babies. But they crave it. They crave some kind of recognition. And I think it's ego-based, honestly, because even throughout history, I mean, you've got all these people who created wars, participated in wars and things like that, historical events, and they did it just for the glory. These days, people do it for updates. So I don't understand. It's like all you're doing is sticking your head above the trenches, really. It's like you can just get as shot down as anyone else. But these are people as well who want social approval, and I think it stems from some kind of probably abandonment issues. There's always some child trauma or latent narcissism that feeds these actions. It's like my parents didn't appreciate me, or I perceive that my parents didn't appreciate me, therefore I have to go outside and find external validation through complete strangers. I mean, in the more innocent terms, maybe it's TikTok. In the more not innocent terms, it might be prostitution. Who knows? Seeking external validation is rarely a safe thing, really. I mean, and then when you don't get it, what happens? Your resilience is shot. So you're just feeling like the world's against you. I had one kid the other day. She was in my classroom. She's 8 years old. And for some fucked up reason, she craves class approval. She wants to be popular, but the kids are so sort of, they're oblivious to popularity at that age. They just don't really get it. So what she did is she decided to conduct a survey. Who's your best friend in the classroom? And I'm sitting there going, that's not a safe survey. Do you really want to do that? Because no, I'm not going to encourage that. She's like, but it was one that she made up. It wasn't a lesson or anything. She was just like, I'm just going to go ask everyone. And I'm going, this is not going to end well, but okay. I'm going, you will find out. And it turns out she wasn't the most popular kid in the class. And she found out on her own terms, as her own learning experience. And then she just lost her shit. I laughed my ass off. I'm going, I know I shouldn't laugh because it's a bit cruel that you would find that out. But you know what? You started the investigation. You found your data. I'm sorry, kid, but you're not the most popular kid. And it crushed her. And she just started crying. It's like, nobody likes me. It's like, no. They just have their own best friends. You don't understand that you're not the only one in the fucking classroom. It drives me nuts. And this stems from the fucking approval TikTok culture, I swear to God. Or maybe it's existed pre-TikTok or something like that, and that's just where TikTok comes from, right? But this constant need to be seen as valuable to the external parties in your society, it's just, I don't understand it. I mean, we are all valuable in our own right. We've all got our own strengths and weaknesses and what we can contribute. But to be only, it's like fame and celebrity. It's like you exist just to stand up on a platform and have people deify you. I don't understand it. It's fake. People aren't going to have the same interest to you all the time. So you're just going to have to deal with the fact that things ebb and flow, particularly with things like popularity. Sorry, that was me having to brake sharply because somebody didn't go properly when they're turning right. But it's like I've never sought myself, so I'm a bit of an outsider. I spent most of my childhood just trying to figure out what the fuck was going on because my autism. I'm like, I don't understand the rules, but I will observe them and learn them. Okay. So I never really got to that point where I was craving social, superiority or popularity or some shit like that. I was just happy to hang out with the weird kids because they didn't judge me. When I was doing the weird shit, they were probably doing worse. Like I was face down in the sand pit, but they were eating the sand. I was happy with that. So when I come across kids like at 8 where they're, like popularity is fucking everything and their resilience is gone because they don't have any followers. I was thinking, dude, adulthood is going to hit you like a brick wall, isn't it? Because nobody as an adult is sitting there chasing these fuckers. Unless you're like a proper celebrity where you've got like money and fame and all that shit. And the amount of kids I've had turn to me and say, I'm going to be a TikToker when I grow up. I'm going to be a YouTube star. I go, you are fucking delusional, okay? It's alright, I don't have to concentrate on school because I'm going to be a TikToker. I was like, alright, I'll support you in your choices. That's sure to be good. Because before TikTok and everything came out, it was kids were like, I'm going to be a football star. And I'm like, okay, I'll support you in that too. Go on then. I don't have to learn to read. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I don't have to pay attention to school. It's okay. It's like, dude, reality's going to hit you bad. But, this is all part of the, some kind of human psyche where we all have to get approval about everything to live cohesively within a particular social structure. I know I exist in this time and point because I need the facilities around me. I don't consider people the facilities around me, so I don't objectify people. But I'm using the facilities but not really belonging or joining in with it. I am a teacher, yes, I provide a service. But if I'm looking for approval, it's just not there. So, anything I do as a teacher, I do because it's perceived to be the right thing. Which is a bit hypocritical, really. And you could argue, what the hell is the right thing? Oh, especially when they're, eliminating huge tracts of the curriculum in countries like America because it doesn't fit in with some kind of, right-wing, ideology. They're worried about leftists there. I don't know why. They've gone conservative again. They really don't like hippies and stuff and alternative ways of thinking. Get out of the road, you crazy fuck. Got one woman just standing in the middle of the road. I am back in my low SES area. It's the Walmart of Australia, I swear to God. Anyway. But the thing to take away from here is, social approval is not everything. You're going to have to confine yourself to your immediate eventually. So, sorry, I've just pulled up. My eyes are sore. All right, what is the importance of following people? Okay. There are some good side effects to following people, of course. Social cohesion, sharing of assets, communication, all that kind of thing. Feeling like you belong. It does help your self-esteem if you know that you can relate to other people and things like that. People sometimes need a flag to follow. That's one thing. They need to. I don't know why. Low self-esteem. I don't know. Can't stand on their own 2 feet. This seemed like the easier option. Okay, that's you. It's not me, but it's you. So you go with it. If that's how you designed and that's how you want to exist in this reality, you go for it. The downside is you can get locked into some shit that you are not ready for or that you don't believe in, but you have to go with because you said aligned yourself with these people or this movement. There's also a danger of being sucked into involuntary following, like what's going on with the Nazi, or what went on with the Nazi party. Whereas they were followers based on misinformation. I have a distinct feeling that they didn't genuinely know what was going on at the time, and they were sort of caught up in the movement. There's a danger of that. Towards the end, they should have clued on. Yeah, so I question what they were thinking back then when you've got like Holocaust deniers and stuff like that. I'm going, yeah, I don't believe you, but okay, I do believe the Holocaust happened. That's crazy if it didn't, because we've got like pictures and footage and everything. You could see what was happening with these people firsthand. I mean, the Aryan Germans weren't separate from the Jewish Germans. So you would have seen, they didn't live in separate areas at the start. You would have seen suddenly, oh, half the population's gone. What happened? Oh, they all went on holiday together. No. So I do feel there was whilst there was some misinformation, I do feel there is, they knew what was going on to a degree, I expect. So you've got to meet a mid-ground in that. So of course there is a danger of, getting sucked into that kind of stuff. So I suppose what to take away from it is to, think critically about what could happen, what could be the ulterior motive of the people that are trying to get you to follow them. What are they getting out of it? What can you get out of it? Are you happy with what you're willing to get out of them if that's what you want to do? Don't just follow blindly. It's the stupidest thing to never question anything. Stupidest thing. Because you get sucked into all kinds of fucked up shit. These people are just... Have you ever seen a Trump rally? It blows my mind. He nearly led them into 3 wars within the first year of his, whatever it is, presidency. And the fuckers still love him. I'm going, 3 fucking wars, dude. That's you getting enlisted and sent off. What are you doing? Because he's the type to conscript. He don't give a fuck. He's in his ivory tower. He's happy. Yeah, so I don't know why they were happy with that. It boggles the mind. He's making America great. America was never great. Great Britain was great. And we didn't have to brag about it. We just existed. So, I don't know what the mindset is there. Anyway. I know they've got Biden and now they're complaining about Biden. I'm going, look, Biden hasn't led you into wars yet. So, swings and roundabouts. So you've got to take your punches when it comes to, hoisting your flag to certain things. And you need to take accountability. If you're willing to follow someone, you need to be able to take the full punch of that. Regardless of what the outcome is. If you don't like it, then don't fucking follow them. That's you as an adult. You have to be autonomous. You have to be free thinking. You have to think for yourself. Inevitably, you will face the consequences of whatever your decisions are. Pick a good flag. If you have to flag at all, Right, I'm going to leave it there because I've got errands to run. I nearly got cracked into an asshole just then. Something tells me I'm going to be pulling away soon. And I will see you later.